Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Thrash Till Death 555. My name is David, and welcome to part 2 of my favorite albums of 2024. So, if you are new here, I hope you enjoy. And for those of you who are returning and have stuck with me, I appreciate you as well. And if you guys are ready, let's just go ahead and pick up where we left off here. So first up, we're going to go to Witherfall with Sounds of the Forgotten. This is Witherfall's fourth full-length record. This is now on their own label called Deathwave. The band was previously on Century Media for their other releases, and yeah, Witherfall just released another killer album full of dark, melodic, progressive / like power, heavy metal. Joseph's vocals, as always, are great. Songwriting is fantastic. The playing is absolutely top notch. Just great, memorable songs. Tons of killer, a mix of heaviness and melody, and they even have some ballads on here that are also just as good as all the heavy shit that's on here. And Witherfall continues to go into just darker and darker territory. Joseph Michael continues to experiment with his vocals and with more aggressive types of vocals, doing some growls like he did on the previous album. I can't remember the name of the last album, but yeah, on the last album, Joseph really started to experiment with the death growls and that kind of thing, and they really make it work for this style of music. It's really really cool. So yeah, Witherfall, Sounds of the Forgotten. If I had, probably my favorite prog metal release this year, if I had to pick. Next up, we are going to go to Crypt Sermon with the Stygian Rose. Dark Descent Records, once again. This fucking awesome, fantastic, epic doom heavy metal band from Pennsylvania, I want to say. Yeah, I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, this is their third full length, and Crypt Sermon just continues this trend of not repeating themselves. Every single record sounds different, but this still sounds like Crypt Sermon. When you hear it, you know it's Crypt Sermon. Fantastic songwriting, instrumentation. There's not a single song that you want to skip. And previously, kind of when I just said about Witherfall, Crypt Sermon is just going into darker and darker territory and just sound overall with this record. Brooks Wilson, once again, talking about vocalists experimenting more and more. Brooks Wilson just showing his versatility as a vocalist and just doing some more like harsh kind of stuff on here. At the end of Glimmers of the Underworld, you hear him like do this like blackened, like really just like kind of scream at the end, and he does it a couple times throughout the record as well. The title track, The Stygian Rose, that closes off the album, is absolutely fucking phenomenal. It's probably one of the best songs that Crypt Sermon's ever done. It's also really cool to see them bring back Matt from Horrendous back on bass. And I believe Frank Chin is still in the band, but I believe he moved over to guitar. Steve Jansen, or Steve Jansen? Steve something, still being on, the other guitar. But yeah, just Crypt Sermon have done it once again. Like I said, not repeating themselves, but still sounding like something that you know it's Crypt Sermon when you hear it. You're going to see this on a lot of VRM lists, not just mine, obviously. So yeah, Crypt Sermon, the Stygian Rose, fucking killer. Next up, we're going to go to Ancient Entities with Echoes of Oblivion. This is, I can't remember if the band actually got on a label, like a small little label for this release or not, but I want to say this is an independent release. But anyway, Ancient Entities are a death metal band from Wisconsin. From Wisconsin. And my kind of personal history with this record and why it's on here, I mean, it's a great death metal record, of course, but I got the pleasure of meeting and seeing these guys play at this venue here in Kentucky, in Corbin, Kentucky, called the Train Station, a venue I'd never been to before. My dad's band, Blood and Steel, opened for them. It was a fantastic show, and I just really fell in love with this band's brand of just technical, brutal style death metal, but while still appealing to the old school and traditional death metal crowd as well. You could hear, Immolation, Morbid Angel, and mixed with early Decapitated, Hour of Penance, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's more like a brutal technical style of death metal, this album, but like I said, it can definitely still appeal to a lot of different death metal fans, whether you like just the traditional old school shit, whether you're into more brutal or technical death metal. These guys, they kind of cover it all. And great songs, killer riffs, and like I said, when I was talking about their performance, absolutely amazing energy from these guys. Yeah, I can't recommend this enough. I haven't seen anybody talking about this because the band isn't that well known, although I know they just played Milwaukee Metal Fest this year, and I'm sure that kind of leveled up their how well them being known and getting more people, getting more fans and listeners and stuff like that. But yeah, this is just great, great quality death metal. So yeah, I do not skip on Ancient Entities, Echoes of Oblivion. Awesome, awesome shit. Next up, we're going to go to Ulcerate with Cutting the Throat of God. Okay, so this may not be album of the year or most important album of the year, but this takes the cake for me for best album title of the year. Cutting the Throat of God. That is just fucking badass. Nobody touches Ulcerate when it came to album titles this year. You just, can't beat that. But anyway, album title aside, the music is still what you expect from Ulcerate. Dark, dissonant, misanthropic, just really dark, progressive, avant-garde type death metal that only Ulcerate can, do. Obviously, Jamie's drumming just continues to impress as it does on every Ulcerate record. The songs are great. I know their last record from 2020, Stare Into Death and Be Still, got a lot of praise from everybody, and it seems this one has too. You're going to see this on a lot of your endless as well. And it's just atmospheric, tons of dark, creepy atmosphere, but more like just like nihilistic and just more like it feels like the world is just fucking collapsing and, that kind of feel to it. But I also wanted to say, in comparison to the last one, I think this might be a little more catchier. I find the songs to be a little more catchy and just a little more memorable overall for this record. So I think I do prefer this over Stare Into Death and Be Still, and The Destroyers of All is probably still one of my favorites out of their catalog overall. So I don't know if it tops that. But I think it's might be one of their best production sounds that they've done as well. I think it is my favorite, sounding Ulcerate record so far. But just if you've been following this band, you're not going to be disappointed with this one, or at least I severely doubt it. But Ulcerate, Cutting the Throat of God, amazing. Next up, we're going to go to Siverus with Maze Envy. This is a $20 spin release. This is their second full-length record. I do remember checking out the previous, or their debut, which I can't remember what year that came. I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. And I listened to it maybe a couple times, and I thought it was, pretty good, pretty decent and everything. But man, here with this record, Maze Envy, they have really just, it blows that debut away. The songwriting, really, really, really step it up with the songwriting and the playing and just the overall arrangements and how they put everything together. This record has so much. You could call it atmospheric blackened death doom, but that still doesn't really cover it. This is another album where, yes, overall you would call it death metal, but you can't really box this, to be honest. There's just so much variety of stuff going on here. Like I said, it's atmospheric, and it's also got the more melodic, or maybe not uplifting, but more melodic kind of atmospheric and creepy horror movie atmospheric soundscapes and vibes as well, which is really, really cool. And it's got some really cool post-rock parts that are those are just some of the most memorable and catchiest sections on the record, combined with its just fucking death metal brutality and just, this record just has it all, man. Like I said, just fast stuff, brutal stuff, atmospheric, you name it. It's kind of all on here, really. And this is another one where I wish I had the CD to show, because it's one of my favorite album artworks this year. I love the cover or the album artwork for this record. Absolutely amazing. I hope to still pick it up on CD sometime soon. But yeah, I'm sure this is another one you're going to see on quite a few year-end lists. It seems like it really took the metal world by storm this year, as it deserves to. And you also get a pretty cool guest appearance from the vocalist of, or the former vocalist of The Faceless, who sung on Planetary Duality, that record. So that's really, really cool. And yeah, I think that's just about everything I want to say about this. But yeah, it just, there's a lot to dig into on this record. And it's just, it flows beautifully. It's just, it's definitely kind of one of those atmospheric journey kind of things. But yeah, phenomenal record. Love this one. And I just kept playing it more and more as the year went on, because like the first listen, I listened to it like once or twice. It didn't really stick with me, but something just made me want to go back to it, and I did, and then I just couldn't stop playing it from that point. So yeah, Sybaris, Maze Envy, fucking amazing. Next up, we're gonna go to Hellbutcher. This is a self-titled debut from Hellbutcher himself, from Niflheim fame. And to be honest, I've never really listened to a ton of Niflheim, but a lot of people were sharing this around, and a lot of people were describing it more as like a blackened speed metal thing than just straight up black metal. I know Niflheim is also considered black thrash in many people's eyes, but yeah, Niflheim I just never listened too much, but I heard this and I fucking loved what I heard on this, and I do agree with like it being more along like a black speed metal approach than what Niflheim does, at least to me anyway. It's more along the lines of, like Hellripper and, those kind of bands. But yeah, it's just really, really cool stuff. I love the production on it. It's not too clean. It doesn't sound like shit and, too raw like a lot of the fucking primitive, straight up raw black metal shit does that I can't stand. Yeah, it's got a good production. The riffs are heavy. That's another thing. If I listen to black metal, you gotta put some fucking meat on those guitar riffs, make those riffs sound heavy for me to get into it. But yeah, it's got that. It's just completely fucking blasphemous, sinister, satanic, themes going on, of course. And what's the other thing? Oh yeah, it reminds me of Early Creator a lot, which I really, really enjoyed. He's definitely got like a young Mila Petroza kind of vocal style going on, which is really, really cool. So yeah, just really, really cool stuff. I really enjoy this Hellbutcher debut, and I'm definitely gonna be checking out the next one when they do the next one. So yeah, Hellbutcher, self-titled. Next up, we go to Crystal Viper with the Silver Key. This is released on, I think they're still on Listenable Records, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I love Crystal Viper, this traditional heavy metal, a little bit of power metal in there, band from Poland. Marta Gabriel is an absolute treasure. I just love her fucking style overall, her vocals, her guitar style. Although she switched to bass for this record, she is no longer a guitar player. She switched to bass for this, but she's also a killer bassist, and Marta's just a killer musician overall. And she's definitely one of my favorites for this, for these newer wave of traditional heavy metal bands. I think she's one of the best, and of course the rest of the band kills it. All the songs are like Lovecraftian themed, which is really cool. It's all like really well done, really just well put together, and everything. It's kind of like their most melodic and heaviest at the same time that they've ever done. I don't think it's gonna beat Crime and Accepta or Possession for me personally. Those are probably still my top two Crystal Viper records, but it's probably just as good as the last one that they put out, which was 2020, I want to say, Providence, which that also had a bunch of Lovecraft stuff on it. So Marta really seems to be enjoying the Lovecraft theme here lately. But yeah, this is just, whatever you're looking for from just kick-ass traditional heavy metal and just a fun listen as well. Just tons of sing-along courses, tons of great melodies. This Crystal Viper, they've got it all. So, yeah, Crystal Viper, the Silver Key. Next up, we're going to go to Horrifying with Dreadful Parasomnia. I don't remember what label this is on. This is a Chilean right? Yeah, this Chilean death metal band. This actually came to. I actually found out about these guys from Andrew Lee from Rip to Shreds because I follow him on Facebook. And I remember he was just like talking about like a bunch of the death metal albums that people were hyping up so far. And he was like, "Hey, there's no love for this one." I was like, "Okay, I've never heard this band before. I'm gonna go check this out." And yeah, man, it's fucking awesome. Just really sinister, ugly, filthy style, death metal. I don't really know what else to say. You know what to expect when it comes to this style of death metal. Just fucking devastatingly heavy, just really like cavernous, vocals, really, really good riffs, like precision type fucking riffing. It's got that, the production's also got that level of, it's got that balance of, murky and dirty, but also still you can make out everything that's, going on. The drums are super punchy, which, as you know, that's how I prefer my drums in metal. But yeah, killer stuff. Definitely cool new band discovery for me. I was not familiar with them, so yeah. Horrifying, dreadful, parasomnia. Next up, we're going to go to Obscene with Agony and Wounds. This is their third full-length record. These guys are now on Nameless Grave, Brandon's label, who put out the Helm's Deep record, and he's in a band called Serpent Rider, which is like a epic heavy metal project. He's in the death metal band, Drawn and Quartered. He's in the death metal band Drawn and Quartered. And yeah, Brandon's just an awesome dude. He just works with a lot of cool people. Yeah, this is one of his releases. It's cool to see Obscene working with this label. It seems like a very good home for him. I have seen Obscene live once. They opened for Blood Incantation and Necrot when I saw them back in 2019. They're an absolutely killer band live. Just tons of energy. Just really, really solid quality fucking death metal. Not really sure what else to say. I think this might be the best thing they've done in terms of just like their songwriting and just overall, just most like memorable songs that they've ever done. Just yeah, if you haven't checked out this record, it is definitely a treat for all you death metal fans. Yeah, this one is Obscene is not to be missed for sure. Yep. So Obscene, Agony and Wounds. Next up, we're going to go to Hokago Grind Time with Concertos of Kawaiiness, Stealing John Chang's Ideas, a book by Andrew Lee. Oh, man. That title is fucking hilarious. So this is Andrew's, anime-themed gore grind project, and man, let me tell you, just for something that's so silly and ridiculous and is meant to be a joke, this thing is so fucking good. Just because of Andrew's songwriting, because just he fucking knows how to write a riff, and he knows how to craft a riffs that just make you want to bang your fucking head, and he's always got hooks in mind. And similar to what I was talking about earlier with Septage, with putting out a listenable, accessible gore grind record, I feel like you could apply the same here to Hokago Grind Time. I've enjoyed everything this band has put out so far. It's just always silly, fun, ridiculous, but it just fucking kicks ass at the same time, and it's just, just awesome fucking gore grind. It's just brutal and just, whatever, everything you'd want from this style. But yeah, and it's you can still make out everything. Like I said, when I say listenable gore grind, you can make out every single instrument. Nothing sounds buried. Of course, in fashion with a lot of gore grind, he keeps the trash can snare, so that's kind of just seems to be like a given with this style. But yeah, it fits, fits perfectly. But yeah, like I said, you're gonna remember these riffs. There's gonna be hooks in here that you just would not expect a gore grind project to create, but Andrew does it here, and yeah, this definitely is not going to be for everybody, but yeah, just I can't recommend this enough, and I played this so many times. And a little disclaimer: this may not be the only time we see Andrew Lee on this list. So yeah, but I'm gonna move on here. That's all I got to say about that one. Hokago Grind Time. with, fuck it, let's just say it again. Concertos of Quietness, Stealing John Chang's Ideas, a book by Andrew Lee. And for any of you who are familiar with Anal Cunt, you will get the reference there. I'm not a fan of Anal Cunt, but I do know about that. That was like a song title on one of the records, I remember. Yeah, that's where that title comes from, for those who are not familiar. And now we are going to go to Mayhemic with Toba, another Chilean band. This Chilean, just evil, fucking ferocious black and thrash that sounds like if you took the first two Creator records and mixed them with like Merciless The Awakening. That's kind of how this comes off to me. Also kind of reminds me of that Ultha Cruelty Summary Execution at Dawn release from Dark Descent that came out back in 2019. Just like precision fucking riffing and just fast. This thing is fast as fuck. And just these, like I said, these riffs are just absolutely ferocious, will make you want to bang your fucking head. You know, short, sweet release, as you would expect from this style of music. You know, it's not going to drag on too long. You're going to be able to play it over and over again. It's not going to get boring. It's not going to get... I don't even think it gets repetitive either, just because it's so creative with the way that they craft and do their riffs. You know, there's just plenty of hooks and just plenty of stuff that keeps you engaged and is just going to keep you wanting more. So, yeah, Mayhemic, Toba, this was absolutely phenomenal. And I had never heard of this band previous to this, so yeah, don't skip on that one. Next up, we're going to go to Blood Incantation with Absolute Elsewhere. Okay, so you are obviously going to see this on a ton of your endless this year, not just mine. So many people praising this, and obviously it's probably going to divide a lot of their fans. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because everyone who's listened to this knows it is a complex record and it's going to require complex thoughts on it. I obviously really enjoy it and I love it. Well, yeah, I like it a lot because it's on this list. Am I a little disappointed that Blood Incantation is moving away from pure, straight, like atmospheric type old school death metal? Yes. I would prefer that they did stick with that style, but what everyone needs to understand is this is their band and they can do whatever the fuck they want. Doesn't matter what we think. You know, it sucks sometimes when that happens, but there's, you know, nothing we can do about it. But I will say, for the way that the songwriting is absolutely fantastic, the musicianship is fucking top notch, and just everything that they combine on this, you know, mixing this style of atmospheric death metal that they perfected with Starspawn and Hidden History, combining that with 70s prog and ambient, and they also had a Tangerine Dream guest appearance on here. You know, it's always been clear for a while now that they've always been interested in these other types of music, and you've always been able to hear elements of that as far back as their EP or their demos, even before Starspawn. So yeah, it's not surprising, and but yeah, I do kind of wish with the transitions when they shift from the metal to the other styles. My issue is it gets away from the metal for a little too long for my taste. I was kind of hoping it would still be just like mostly the atmospheric death metal thing, and you know, they would just have the elements sprinkled in like here and there. But yeah, with the way they do the transitions on here, they get completely away from the metal for, you know, several minutes, and it goes into the other styles, and then it kind of takes you a while for you to get back into the metal stuff, which kind of, for me personally, that's just, I don't really like that as much, unfortunately. But yeah, like I said, this is still a very, very good album from them. I will still be checking out what they do after this, even though I do kind of have concerns for how they're going to do things in the future, because they basically said at this point, you know, Blood Incantation at this point is basically just a band, and we're going to do whatever the fuck we want to do. You know, we are no longer just a death metal band. And again, you know, it's their band. They can do whatever they want. But yeah, I am still going to be checking out what they do after this. But yeah, like I said, even though I had those small issues with this record, it's still really, really good for what they went for. You know, just imagine like like just a cosmic death metal mixed with fucking 2112 and Pink Floyd, and that's kind of an idea of what you get here. But yeah, I think I'm going to stop talking about this now because you're already going to hear so many other people on the internet talking about this fucking album. So yeah, I've said my piece. So yeah, that's Blood Incantation with Absolute Elsewhere. Now we go to Slasher Dave with Home Haunter. Man. So I've talked about what a big Acid Witch fan I am, what a big fan of Slasher Dave I am. I love his soundtrack project. This is just another really cool album from him with, the Halloween theme, with this record focusing more on like DIY Halloween themes. But yeah, if you've heard his previous records, he's not really doing anything too new here, but it's just yeah, it's still just Slasher Dave and what you want to hear from him, or at least what I want to hear from him. Excuse me, I should probably take a drink. But yeah, I really love this. Just his all of his influence that he brings in together, from John Carpenter to Fabio Frizzi, Simonetti, Goblin, just bringing all of that shit together and just making his own thing and putting his own spin on it and making it his own thing. Yeah, I think he's Slasher Day is one of the best soundtrack projects and one of my absolute favorites going right now. So yeah, whenever I'm in the mood for like horror soundtrack stuff, I will never hesitate to listen to a Slasher Dave release. I look forward to it every single time he puts one out, and it's just quality every single time. So yeah, Slasher Dave with Home Haunter. By the way, that is the only non-metal album that is on this list. Next up, we're going to go to Black Curse with Burning and Celestial Poison. This is the second full length from this project that no longer features members of Blood Incantation. Morris is no longer a part of this band. But you do still have Eli from Spectre Voice. I forgot what he does in this band. But yeah, great album. I think I still prefer Endless Wound a little bit more because I think I just like the overall more of a death metal approach and more... I think I also prefer the production of Endless Wound compared to this. This is a little more raw, also a little more black metal fueled compared to Endless Wound. Endless Wound definitely had black metal elements, but I feel like this record really kind of brings up the black metal up a couple levels. So, but yeah, just absolutely sinister, fucking just devastatingly heavy, just chaotic, fucking crushing, evil. Basically the same sound that you know and love from Endless Wound. So yeah, really cool to hear this record put out, or really cool to hear this band put out another record. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about it. If you're a fan of Endless Wound, definitely check this one out too. Real just awesome blackened death metal. Next up, we're going to go to Cryptic Brood with Necrotic Flesh Bacteria. I was a really big fan of their previous record, Outcome of Obnoxious Science. And this really kind of, it's very much, it's very similar. Like, this kind of just sounds like it's more of that record, but that's fine with me because I just love the first one, or I love that last one so much, and I'm totally fine with just getting another one that sounds mostly like that. But yeah, it's it's a death doom with some like punk crust elements, especially with the vocalist doing like these hardcore, shouts, and just mixed with the fucking cavernous death growls. It can they got the fast blast type sections in here, along with the slow plodding dripping in decay type of death doom. Yeah, just really, really good stuff. Great riffs, catchy. Every song is engaging. Nothing really gets boring. Nothing's really repetitive, in my opinion. Yeah, just solid death doom from Germany. Cryptic Brood, Necrotic Flesh Bacteria. Next up, we're going to go to Vendel with Out in the Fields. This is a Russian epic doom band released on Dying Victims. It's their debut full length. I had never heard of this band before, But my surprise with this record is, well, for one thing, I put it off for a long time, even though I was hearing a lot of buzz about it. For whatever reason, I was just busy listening to a lot of other shit. I just didn't get to it until much, much later in the year, which I really regret because when the first time I listened, I instantly fell in love with it. And for some reason, reading about it, I was expecting like an Epic Doom version of Manila Road, but that's not what this is. This does not sound like Manila Road. This is more like, in the vein of like, Candlemass, Solitude, that kind of stuff. Even, I guess Crypt Sermon, you could say, to a degree. But yeah, this is just awesome epic doom that is just super, badass and just triumphant, victorious, sounding, killer dual lead guitars, crushing riffs. The vocalist is fucking awesome. He can just, his range is amazing. He's an absolute powerhouse and just really makes these songs come to life. Yeah, I was blown away when I heard this for the first time, and like I said, I really regret putting it off so late into the year, but better late than never. And as soon after first listen, I was like, yeah, this is going on my favorites. There's like no fucking question. But yeah, it's cool to see Dying Victims pick up a band like this, because I've never really heard an epic doom band on Dying Victims. I know Dying Victims do a lot of traditional heavy metal stuff, but yeah, I've never really heard a record quite like this from the label. So that's really, really cool. But yeah, anything you're looking for out of just quality, badass sounding epic doom, Vendel delivers here. This thing is fucking fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. So yeah, Vendel, out in the fields. And I think, let's see, how many more do I got to go? Okay, I think I'm going to stop here, and I guess I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this off with, I'm going to make this a three-parter. So there will be one more video. This will be the third and final video for this list. So yeah, once again, I thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around for part 2, and I hope you also stick around for part 3. So yeah, I will see you then for part 3. So have a good one.